And a big monkey. We're live. It's the marketing show. So far, it's Sam, Federico. Others may join us before too long. We will see. Let's pop up the. I've got the old. I've been sort of organized, and I've got the marketing meeting document kind of ready, and I shared that in the Slack, and I started putting in a few items for myself. Yeah. Federico, do you have any items on your mind?
So actually, I have no items.
No items.
Yeah.
Absence of items. All right. Well, that was quick. Yeah. Well, I guess what we could do, we could go through like yours and the previous action items, and just clear any of those out.
Yeah.
We did actually make some progress here in the so this thing, which is like trying to adjust how we set up the static pages. I did in the website one meeting. So Sam demoed the Medium editor to it was Ben and Nicola. So Nico had been saying that he was blocked on not understanding what the next step was here. So that may or may not have unblocked him.
Sam, could I just stop you there? I mean, could you just talk about it for a second?
I certainly can. Yes. What can I explain in more detail?
Well, I mean, like I haven't used it at all. I mean, it sounds interesting, but like, is it easy to use? Is it
the Medium editor?
Yeah.
I think it's easier to use than the Mercury editor, although of course that's a question of, you know, I mean, you're familiar with the Mercury editor as it currently works in the website one, of course. You've edited pages using it, haven't you?
Right.
But so the Medium editor replicates some of the experience of using the editor for the Medium blogging system, which you've also used.
Yeah, I've looked at it, and yeah.
Go on.
I don't think I've used it directly, but yes, like maybe to edit or
yeah, potentially I could even well, I'm on the right branch. I could even just show you what the current experience we've got and what it's show you what
yeah, because I noticed you've merged to develop, right? Is that what you're going to show me?
No, well, we so separately there's the Rails 5 upgrade has been merged to develop, which we're in the process of pushing through. Now, previously we had thought that the Mercury editor was blocking our Rails 5 upgrade, but Nico's kind of got round it and has got it all working.
Cool.
Which is good in one way in that we can get up to Rails 5. Let's see here. I am logged in. If I oh gosh, well, I need to do it simply here. I have to silly. I need to run it. I don't know if I have it there. I need to run it with it's edit static pages equals true. I think that's the deal. Let's go here, Control F, edit. Static. For some reason it takes a stupidly long time for start up on my machine. I'd really love to get a new machine actually. Slack seems to be being really kind of sluggish recently. I don't know if you've noticed that as well.
Not for me.
No. But so if we go back over here and we go to, for example, the About page, and if I've got the syntax right, so, and I have, so this now here is the editor.
Okay.
So unlike the Mercury editor, which you're familiar with, which kind of like does a whole, injects kind of like a Microsoft Word ribbon at the top, which I think we can't immediately see on those things because they're not enabled to edit, but we could see if we go to like a local support page. But so it's both Mercury and Medium provide a kind of a WYSIWYG experience, but the Mercury engine kind of takes over the whole thing, right? Does all this sort of stuff. You've got the this, that, and the other, but then you've got the sort of toolbar, and it also manages all of the saving, and it strips out, any JavaScript that might be evil and so on. So whereas the Medium editor is much more lightweight, it basically just gets applied to this div. So you can now start typing in here, like so.
So you don't even deal with any HTML, like the user?
Yeah, I mean, it's not immediately, it doesn't support things like the Mercury editor has. It's like, okay, you can go in and edit the HTML if you want to for pain. The Medium editor basically takes over like the you tell it a div that you want it to be in. Like, so here at the moment, the title is not editable. We've just told it take over this div, and then you can basically do a certain range of styles and write whatever text you want in it.
What about hyperlinks?
I think if you do this, and then there was that one. Yeah, there's a link there.
Ah, okay.
So I mean, it's got, like the function. So it doesn't look so wonderfully nice there. It's not the same code that does this, but so this. I mean, it's all based around this kind of trying to make an almost seamless transition between editing and what the published thing looks like, and based on, rather than intrusively putting the whole ribbon in there, giving you this sort of set of options based on what you've currently highlighted. Now, you could say this is a bit of a usability issue because some people coming to it will say, oh, how do I make it bold? I've no idea what to do. There's other thing like this one. It has a thing where that's how you embed images and so on. I mean, really, where we are with this is a spike to see that we can get the Medium editor working with Rails, and so we've got it doing there. What we haven't got working at the moment is saving, right? So the Medium editor basically sets that up, but then we've got to write the code paths so when we explicitly save it, that this would then be saved and stored in the database in the right way, so that then the page was displayed correctly. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you have an idea how to do that, or?
I have an approximate idea how to do that. I mean, where the Medium editor is specifically different from the Mercury editor. Mercury editor is like an engine that plugs into Rails that just does all of that for you.
Right.
Whereas the Medium editor is basic for Rails, is a wrapper around the JavaScript that supports, this manipulation that we're doing here of the DOM.
Okay.
And then we need to set it up so that the save path, the contents of this div, which is the body of the document, that HTML then has to be sent through,
okay. Yeah,
and stored in the database. Now, of course, that gives us full control of that process about whether we are, stripping out JavaScript, whatever we're doing. Yeah. Of course, superficially, with this editing mechanism, we can't put in JavaScript or what have you. I mean, we can start typing. Oh, yeah. It doesn't have the HTML editor support. So, I think we would then have to look at it doesn't here out of the box support image upload and so on. Although if we go to the Medium editor. So there's a Rails gem that wraps it for Rails. Then there's underneath the hood, there's the actual Medium editor. If we go and look for the options through here, there's then like a load of things to support. I found already in here, like placeholder options, paste. Yeah. I mean, dragging images in, making them into the content. I mean, it feels to me like it's a fair chunk of work to get, to get this, to get the functionality that we have with the Mercury editor in terms of dropping in images and YouTube things and what have you. It's a fair chunk of work, I would say.
Do you think overall it's worth it? I mean, the main motivation was because it was blocking the Rails 5 upgrade, correct?
Yeah, so certainly, I mean, I've never particularly liked the Mercury editor. The Mercury editor is also not maintained, so it's something that we would like to, and it also causes frequent intermittent failures, or at least it seems to be quite involved in the ones that fail intermittently. So I've been, even if it hadn't been blocking the Rails 5 thing, I certainly would have been tempted to replace it. But what so basically it hasn't now blocked the Rails 5 upgrade, so we can do that anyway. That the combination of the Rails 5 upgrade and also upgrading to Ruby 2.5 hopefully will give us a bit of a performance boost. I don't know that we'll necessarily get other wonderful benefits from Rails 5. It might be that people will be more excited, slightly more excited to work on the project. I mean, but yeah, I have to say, looking at it at the moment, I would like, although I prefer this style of editing to this one, to be honest, I feel like it might be more effective to basically outsource the editing to GitHub and do what the Odin project have done, and which is basically they have their entire curriculum on GitHub, and they have a process in the background that pulls that, and basically people can edit the stuff on GitHub by submitting pull requests there, and then that automatically updates the site. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, yeah, sort of. You think that'd be easier? I mean, it'd be like a little more controlled.
Yeah,
right?
I think what we've got there. I mean, if we look at that, if we've got, I get there's two different pathways there, both of which require a certain amount of engineering work. So one is, fully implementing the Medium editor. I think that and that's kind of like, I'm sure it's possible to do in principle. Whether it will actually, how much effort it would take to make it work really nicely with our site is kind of, I'm like, there could be some, interesting failures and blocking points then. And in particular, if we look about it in this context, that we want to be able to like add JavaScript to like track people doing things on the static pages in our site, that might be really difficult. If another one is saying that we basically outsource editing to GitHub, what particularly with this is sort of this two repo model, where we have basically a kind of a content repo, which is separate from website one. So this is also engineering work, but we've got the example of the Odin project, and their entire thing is open source. They've done it. It's all working. It works, and it works really well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what do you think of the user experience on that?
Yeah, well, and I think that the like, if we look at what the advantage here is, it's kind of like you've got, like, if one could make it work smoothly and wonderfully, then you could kind of have this immediate edible, the immediate wiki like experience in our site, right? And so that's like this is like minimum friction making changes. I think what we've seen is, over like 4 years of the website one, is that people don't sort of expect to be able to make changes, to certain pages. We've had, I think, in some ways, the site overall suffers from having had a lot of pages that are editable, and I mean, they're in two categories. I mean, the one, there's like the project documentation, and two, there's the static pages in the site. And I mean, I think my vision had been like, oh yeah, we'll have this big community and everybody will want to contribute and coordinate to like making the main static pages, better and organized and so on, what have you. And I guess it just feels like that hasn't happened. So I'm tempted to kind of try and like the big advantage here is basically, we have GitHub based editing and PRs, and what that does, that maybe excludes certain people who might propose changes and what have you, because they're not sort of GitHub literate, which is annoying. At the same time, we've got the example of, so Joe did the the new version of the code page. She did a version of it in Google Docs, because she's familiar with doing that, and was able to like design some content and put some images in there and this, that, and the other. And I guess, like, in my mind, in the ideal world, she'd be able to like edit that directly in here and make it look how she wants it to look. At the same time, delivering that kind of interface within our bespoke system for her is that's kind of a I don't, like GitHub has, X many employees that they're supporting a certain level of editing, what have you, through that. Medium's doing it through there. We don't have the resources, I think, to support such a seamless editing experience that gets, all the things we want. We can kind of like, we've got a bit of it with the Mercury editor, but it's not being supported anymore. Who knows? Like, there's going to be Rails 6 to upgrade to. There's it doesn't allow us to do the JavaScript stuff.
So I think we should maybe give, since we're already heading in that direction, we should give the Medium editor a shot. And
you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong, but see if we run into any major blockers. And I don't know. I guess I'd like to check out that Odin project to see.
Yeah, well, we're doing it in the web dev mob. We're
right.
Yeah, definitely check out the Odin project, and yeah. I mean, I think Nico and Ben will have a little play with the. Let's see this. 42% is looking. I was just looking here because I wanted to see if we can compare that to the previous period. Apply. Can we? Yeah, so we've had it looks like a bit of a raise in click-throughs since we've applied Joe's new content in there. It's nice to see.
Yeah, it's not been like a full month, has it?
No, I think it's only been a couple of weeks. So I was sort of premature looking at. Yeah, I mean, I think that the big thing, though, I mean, I think it's probably worth looking at a few more bits of the Medium editor, because it's a stylish sort of interface. But to be honest, in the long run, I think this model is just much cleaner. I've been reluctant to sort of, kind of like, to make the static pages things that you had to submit to the website one repo, and then it would have to go through like all this like CI running and this, that, and the other, interfere with the development. I think what's sort of genius about the Odin project thing is that they have like, so they have, so for example, here's their lesson on introducing Git, right? And so they have their site that's running the content, which is a Rails app, and they have there we go. Then they have separately, they have the curriculum, as it were, for the site in a different repo. And so if we look at that, that's introduction to Git. I don't know if that's in that one here, Git. I think the introduction to Git might be in the basic web development 101, actually. Yeah, Git intro. So what they have here, this content here, this is this content here. So if you discover an issue in like that stuff here, right, what you do is you can kind of come in here and you do a pull request on this page, and you can potentially just edit it directly. And then, you know, on a 24-hour cycle, whatever's in this curriculum repo gets pulled in and is then reflected here.
Yeah, you know, actually, especially now that you showed it to me, but even before, I was thinking that that's actually good to put pulling like newcomers in, because the reviewer who's merging that in, it's less of a cognitive load on them to like try to decipher code, where they can just read, you know, text and immediately merge it in.
Right.
I think it's that newcomer, you know, still a virtuous cycle of contributing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I've got my, you know, Linda and Fiona doing the web dev mob, and they're, you know, at early stages in terms of coding, but, you know, they you know, have submitted pull requests with my help in here, and their changes have been now reflected in the curriculum pages in here. And yeah, basically we have a curriculum repo that you don't need to know anything about code in order to submit to.
Right.
And I think the other, I mean, I think that's where we would sensibly be. I mean, so that's for all of our static pages like the about it, and particularly then for getting started, which is effectively we want a bit like Odin Project, the sequence of things that you do and tracking the progress and so on. That's the other thing is then, you know, they've got the progress, you know, tracked here and managed and stored and whatever. I mean, another thing, and they've got this. They've got their Gitter chat embedded. They've got like basically here, you go here, and you basically can immediately see their Gitter chat with in all its glory. I'm really impressed with what, I mean, not that there aren't some shortcomings with their framework overall, but I think in terms of creating a sort of a curriculum and you know, being able to present it in a nice format, to make it open for people to be collaboratively editing it, and, you know, make it visible, the activity of the community through chat, I think they've done an extraordinary job, really.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah. And the thing, what I would say for us is, you know, we've sort of shot ourselves in the foot by the same thing that I was just explaining this in the Scrum before, that we've got with what we did with the Harrow Community Network, which is that basically people don't have time to update data in more than one place. They even don't have time to update it. So like the whole original raison d'etre for this was, yeah, right, people in the local community who run charities will come here and update data about, you know, to make sure it's up to date so that people can discover them and contact them, right? But basically, unless there's some external motive to do that, like they're being paid to do it or legally required to do it or what have you, they just won't do it. And similarly for, you know, the project information, you know, if somebody's running a project, if they've got to maintain documentation on GitHub, right? Like everybody's got to maintain their README here, because that's like, so we are, unfortunately, we've said, okay, so you got your project on GitHub, could you also maintain this documentation here in this other place using, you know, a much less well supported editor and so on? Do you know what I mean? Like, so sensibly, what our system would do for any of these projects is having linked to GitHub, it would pull out their README and other things like contributing and what have you, and just make them easy to find and visible. And then, you know, in our system, we could have things like, you know, you want to get involved in a project, have you read the README? You know, oh, here it is. We can keep them in our sites. They can see the README, formatted in the right way. They tick that off. Now, have you read the contributing? We can be anyway. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good idea. Good.
So, but yeah, I mean, can see this is almost certainly a larger engineering effort in terms of number of moving parts. But as I say, this one could easily explode so that, yeah. Anyway, there we go. I mean, other note there. I mean, that's related. We'll move on. Anyway, so that was that. Going on the AV Gaming Center. I mean, I've got that in the React mob last Friday. I managed to fix the React CSS thing. In terms of improving AV getting started, that's a kind of it's a slow burner. You and I went through and sorted out who's getting all the sponsoring things done. So that's done. On the mobile plugin side, I did actually have a meeting with the NHS people, and they were saying that they're less interested in mobile support. So we don't care for that. We've got the lovely coding page up. Looks like it's having a positive impact. That's nice. Got the deploy page there. I did also, I spoke to it's Rachel and oh gosh, it's Rochelle. I think that's like auto corrected me. Had them both in website one. We'll chat them. It's Rochelle and Juliet, I think. And Juliet. Brought them in. So the sound, yeah, I think you were saying you've done the metadata, the SoundCloud ordering. Anything left on the metadata to be sorted out?
So the SoundCloud is done. So episodes 2 through 5, metadata. Yeah, a little bit. There might be some like manual editing of the index of the RSS feed, like the image, for example. And I think, I think we just haven't. I think we got it. A good bit of it changed, the actual text last week, but we didn't actually push the index.
No, well then that's something maybe we can do in a minute. That's this. Yeah, I did not do that, but maybe we can do that in a minute and look at if that works or not. Yeah. I mean, and we've got as you say, for like getting the images in and so on. I guess if we end up having too much of an engineering burden on Dropcaster, effectively we're going to end up writing our own deployment software to save. What is it? Is it $10 a month from SoundCloud?
15.
50. 15.
No, sorry, 15.
15. Yeah. There. Anyway, so that's a review of the previous action items. Yeah. So the things that were on my agenda for today were we do have this. There's this new regulation in the UK, or is it Europe wide? I think called the GPDR or something. Some letters like that, which basically says that now that this affects the newsletter, because basically you have to have, it's saying that you have to have explicit opt-in to store, I guess it seems to be to send to people's email address. So this comes to force in May. We will kind of need to ensure that when people sign up to Agile Ventures, there is you basically there's got to be a checkbox. It can't be ticked by default. That's the new rule. It's got to be unticked, and if people don't tick it, then we can't add their email to the mailing list distribution.
Now, would that affect addresses already in the list?
I don't think so. I don't think it's not retrospective. It's people I think have to be able to unsubscribe, but we already have that framework, so that's not a problem. Depending on how you interpret it, there might be argument to say that people should be able to unsubscribe through our website.
Well, they do technically. I mean, Elastic email redirects to an agileVentures.org address.
Email address, web page,
web address. That's how it appears to them. Yeah.
Right, but then if they do the unsubscribe, though, but arguably they might want to be able to come to their, from
the website. Okay.
From the website and come in here and say, adjust their settings. That they need to be able to, like, it's basically all about trying to give individuals control over how much data, any data that's stored about them, that they can, come in and remove it and do this, that, and the other. And we've got the ability for people to delete their, accounts and hide their accounts and so on. So I think we're all right there. But the key thing I think that at the moment, what we're doing is when people sign up, we're taking that as implicit permission to add them to the mailing list thing, which I think is, the rules seem fairly clear now about people need to be explicitly opting in on that.
Okay.
So that was so that's engineering stuff that we'll have to bring that up in the website one meeting, I guess. Let's make this action items. I've got a.
Let me just show you, because I remember I posted the screenshots of someone unsubscribing. So tracking agileVentures.org tracking.
Oh right, yeah. But I think, and that's all good. I think it's that there's supposed to be, like, if they've initially, selected opt-in, then I think by extension they should be able to come to their profile page and we've got the tick box there, so we've got the ability to turn that off. It's on by default, so that's the thing. I think the problem, back in the day, Thomas and their mates spent a huge amount of effort rolling their own emailing framework that then they could never get to work. And so I think that's what this is hooked up to. But so I think what we would need to make this hook up to Elastic email.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is like receive site emails checkbox to hook up to Elastic Mail. I mean, that's assuming that we ever send any more newsletters. Of course. Going on to. Oh, go on.
No, sorry. Well, I was just gonna say. So yeah, that's the easy way to fix it. Let's stop that. Let's stop that practice.
Yeah. Well, yes. It's Although it seems like we had some. They're definitely a nice to have rather than a must to have. I don't know. It's definitely nice that they go out. And we've certainly got a few exciting things to report with the latest design sprints on. Anyway, going on to some other. So I get this continuing trickle of volunteers through Do It for like a junior developer position. Nobody that I've previously contacted for it has kind of really come and got stuck in. Like, some people end up joining Slack and maybe have joined 1 or 2 scrums, but nobody sticks around and actually gets involved in the development so far. I was thinking that, which makes it difficult. Makes it difficult for me to allocate time to it. But I was thinking that maybe Jo. I was asking Jo about it. She was expressing some interest. If we added her to the Do It organization, she would get these emails. She could, send out the emails to the individual people explaining to them what to do next. But she's not here today, so there we go. We've looked at the code page already. So the other 2 items would just be to mention the NHS stuff and other proposals that we have on our plate. And then we could look at exploring deploying the podcast together. Are you interested in hearing about things happening in these 2 areas?
Yeah, definitely. I did ask him that channel is the meeting today because I'm
Yeah, and I
like,
responded and said yes, it would normally be today. Did you see my response in the channel? I guess maybe not.
yeah, no, not yet. It used to be on Tuesdays, right? But
Yeah, I moved it to Wednesdays so that Lara could attend.
oh, okay.
And we've had one or two where she and I have been able to coordinate. Though I've sort of definitely very conflicted today about whether like going to this. I mean, I kind of cancelled one meeting with the idea that I would go to this charity meetup in London, and then I've now moved Brent's pairing earlier, and like there's room for some coordination on the NHS. I sort of thought if Lara is here and we can talk about it and there's not too much of the business that would obviate the need for a longer NHS meeting.
Ah, okay. So, I'm interested. I've seen the talk already in the paid projects a little bit. I followed that. But so it's up to you. We can talk about it or wait till Laura
Well,
is president.
I mean, I think I'm going to be needing to take actions on certain things. I'll just mention what's going on with the NHS project. So we've got kind of a request for redesign of the homepage / navigation, improving the getting started. So, I mean, not unlike the kind of changes and improvements that we'd like to see in website one. That's all within the existing framework. And so there's not like a huge rush to get that done, although I'm sort of aware of time slipping away. That's within, this is in the current plan.
So is that like one of the monthly requests type of thing?
Yeah, and basically, I spoke to the new head of the unit that we work with yesterday, and I was saying it's basically because we managed to automate the moderation so well, we've kind of freed up a bit of time, and we want to help out, so we're offering this ongoing development, which it wasn't in the original contract, and it's a big sort of good. We're not obliged to. It's a goodwill on our part, and I think it's created a very positive environment. But so we're talking about, improving things in that direction. Then we've got a very clear message that they're not particularly interested in, making it work well for mobile. And I seem to be stuck on. I can't get the mobile plugin to work with our current site at the moment. So, that's that. The one of the reasons I was talking to the NHS person, the head person of this HLP group, yesterday, was talking about what's the future plan for the next year. They're saying they may have some more money for it. I think they do have money that needs to be spent by the end of March. So they've asked me for a proposal. We talked through all of like the ways in which we can improve the site, better achieve the outcomes, and so on. And they've asked me for some options, some proposals. Like if we wanted to do different things. The particular things that we've talked about are kind of coordinated training events, also chat functionality, or discussion forums. And that definitely seems to be a big, thing. So I'm putting together a proposal. I will put together a proposal about, how doing different aspects of this and maybe speeding up this process, like what the costings for all of those things are, and potentially there will be more money there to work on those sorts of things. I mean, I think the main thrust of this would be taking the very, very latest Wikipedia plugins that make their kind of wiki-based chat look more like a forum, and trying to see if we can make them work smoothly. I'm kind of a bit like, because the talk functionality in, I don't know, have you used the Wikipedia talk functionality at all?
No.
They have, talk pages associated with each page.
Oh, yeah, I've seen them. I haven't used them.
Yeah. And with our Media Wiki instance, we get exactly that. This is a social programming page, which I made. So then, we haven't got any talk. So they kind of, so you can see like here, like the way this talk page works. It's basically a page of notes, and if you are sort of wiki au fait and you're logged in and so on, you can kind of like just like add, you know, you can just sort of add discussion points, but it's sort of you know, it's very like wiki open. You can kind of like edit other people's stuff. It's all this, that, and the other. We did have some of our stakeholders in the Healthy London thing. We've actually got the discussion page, and you know, like you can, like, there's a sort of a bit of a discussion that took place there, but it's like it's incredible. It's like 15 years ago, primitive. Then there's no updates letting you know that the other person replied to you particularly, unless, I mean, it's just, do you know what I mean? It's sort of for the relatively non-technical person, it's a bit of a usability nightmare.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So with the sort of the new contract, we'd use the latest plugins, you're saying?
Yeah, and oh gosh, interestingly, when I come to this talk page in Wikipedia, that doesn't really even look very much. I wonder if I go to like, if I just go to like a random article and look at the talk page there. No, there's not even a talk page. Actually, probably like if I go to featured content today, portal featured content, talk here. Yeah, so this is still only just like wiki pages. What I've found in other places is, yeah, there seems to be a system that turns lots of the chatter. Like if we look for MediaWiki chat plugin, I don't know, MediaWiki chat, and there's all sorts of things. The discussion ones here, is that right? Yeah. Oh, here you go. This is, see this, this now, it like has threads, and it looks more like a discussion forum.
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, so it would basically be all about investigating the different kinds of. So the plugin itself here, that's actually for just like a chat room that like replicates, you know, IRC and Slack and stuff. So yeah, it would involve reviewing all the different kind of chat functionality and trying to work out which is the one that would actually work on the NHS computers with the different stakeholders who could use it and so on. So yeah,
that's not an easy task, right? I know
no,
a little bit consuming.
Yeah, and so it's similar to the task of what I originally did for the NHS Wiki, which is working out how to get the WYSIWYG editor working on all their systems and this, that, and the other. And it's not, unlike, for example, the MyNoteboats React Native. I'm not getting the sense that lots of people in the NHS community are like, oh yeah, I want to learn more about MediaWiki configuration. Yay! I don't hear that so much. Maybe I'm just not listening to the right places. But
yeah, we got to be careful because it'd really be you and me. I mean, maybe Laura, maybe Michael, Patrick, or myself, and but more than likely it'd just be you doing it. So you have to take that into consideration.
Yeah. I assume like that you and Michael will be much more interested in the MyNoteboat stuff, and fair enough. And I think probably your time better spent there as well. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, they don't have a lot of money.
Okay.
So you know, but it would be a nice. It's nice. I mean, the other thing that happened there is that also the national team actually got in touch with me asking about, you know, how, you know, like for like how does it all work, and they're looking to like host lots of data, and they're thinking about wikis versus this, that, and the other. And I was explaining how our moderation framework works. They're also particularly interested in the chat functionality and the discussion forums.
Really?
So that's, you know,
it might be good for like a proof of concept type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it would be exciting for us if the national team, based on this discussion that they've just, you know, had with me, if they did come and say, yes, we'd like I mean, they may say, can you fit us into the existing system? Can we have our own one of these? It would certainly be great exposure for Agile Ventures, talking about working with the NHS national team. Again, it's not huge amounts of money. But anyway, the other, it's nice to be talking to them. Other proposals that we have is that there was this. I'm going to call it the women and girls proposal. What is that even? Their organization. So we've got that's a interesting one. Yeah. What is there?
Something violence.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like this. It's like this. I mean, it's like the sex and violence tender, which sounds like, it's like the sexual violence triage model. I mean, it's the client is the Women and Girls Network.
Okay.
Which I think is probably the way to refer it, just to avoid people thinking that we're promoting sexual violence or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Which obviously we wouldn't be. Women and Girls Network. That one seems to have a bit of a block. That's like 70K.
3 years, right?
Yeah, which looks like it's certainly an interesting project. They have some requirements like 2 years of account, so it may be that we're not eligible for it. My plan is to just query them and say, okay, can I check? Would we even be in the running for that? So, so I need to query our charity Age. There's.
You might mention that Agile Ventures was sort of pre-existing.
Yeah, indeed so. Oh my God, there's another one which is a Kingston social prescribing one that one of my mentees has brought to me, and this is in the social prescribing area again. So all of our knowledge and understanding the NHS work is very valuable. Oh gosh, come on, brain. This one is for like 100K, or it's like 1 year or something. But this one, the people who are presenting it to me they want to kind of apply together. They've got their own existing software, and they're saying like they want to build some more stuff on top of it, and so on. And the interesting thing about this tender, which I also put in the thing, is that this is like a local authority. It's like a local council in the UK. They're making a very specific request to say, we want to work with people who understand open source, open standards, can do agile sprints, and all this sort of stuff. So it's kind of right up in terms of the way they want to work, it's exactly what we want. But I don't know. I don't know. It's complicated to know how to fit that in with what as I said, the mentee who's brought it to me, is involved in they've got an existing software platform that they want to use for this. So, I don't know, but
okay, so it'd be like a joint contract, joint bid.
Yeah. So there's lots of silly deals to work there. There was also the Youth Foundation. We just got, that was one of the guys locally. We just got rejected from that. I got email from that one, but that was not particularly arduous application process. So not too worried there. Yeah. So that's where we are on those things. I mean, from my point of view, like the one that's like clear most likely to lead to some immediate money is the stuff working with the existing, NHS HLP group, not the national team. So that's probably the priority for me to get that in.
So because we have the deadline, right?
Yeah. So the deadline, deadline for it's end of March. They need for this stuff. This needs to be. I need to give them something ASAP so they can wrap it up. The deadline actually for this one is also the end of March, and I think this one is even sooner. So yeah, I mean the challenge here is I sort of need to educate the people who want to apply with me, like what is agile and sprints and everything, and that's kind of like, oh my goodness. So yeah, I mean we've also got the My Noteboat thing where that's we've kind of agreed in principle on it, the client's supposed to be making some changes or reviewing the pivotal tracker and getting it, so, and then making their initial payment. I'm reluctant to start work on it until we actually get that payment, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all the stuff there, really.
Cool. Thanks for going through that. Yeah.
Pleasure. Thanks for listening. It's good to talk about. I mean, I guess the critical thing here is I must do new NHS proposal. I've got to finish I've got to query the what do they call it? A WM. Okay. So I guess we could just quickly explore deploying the podcast now. Unless is there anything else that we need to look at? Anything else on your mind?
No. Do we have enough time?
Well, we have like 4 minutes.
Yeah.
You've got a. You're not doing the Phoenix mobs at top of the hour anymore.
No, we basically retired them. Yeah. We got through almost all of them. Yeah, motivation kind of died down with everything that happened, and I sort of looked up and realized we were almost through all of them. So
yeah, you did a good chunk of them. So I see there I'm on the GH Pages branch there. Okay. Yeah, I think that's great to see. You've got like a real the TDD mob seems to be going very well, doesn't it? Or at least just I'm able to review it, but like the attendance is very good.
Yeah, you should not schedule anything and join us.
I would in some ways I would love to be. I mean, the thing is, I sort of looked through the book. I don't think that there's anything in there that I don't already know. At the same time, in terms of like revising the book with Armando, I would love to be like completely, fine-grained detail. I wish that they had invited me to be a reviewer, because then I would have an excuse to work through it all.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's I mean, I've also what I think is wonderful about what you're doing is the way that you're highlighting the day before. This is what we're planning on working on, and I should be doing that for all of my mobs. I'm doing like 5 mobs, and I've just got to be really careful about, like, I don't know, I maybe need to retire some of my mobs, or I don't know, some add some mechanism to remind me to like do the wonderful highlighting and trailing that you're doing, or something. But I guess if we come back to the podcast here. So we've now got. I mean, I'm only seeing episodes 1 to 4 in there.
That's the problem. Are you? Because I know
like episode 5 is deleted.
You just did a git pull, right?
I did a git pull. I don't know why that's locally. Is that like an accidental thing on my one? Gosh, I don't know. Okay. There we go. So now I have. I mean, I've. Oh, right. Or maybe it should be deleted. I guess we've also got like I've got like a podcast directory that I've previously moved them into to do experiment with. I guess we've got the. I think that was with me experimenting with an alternate thing for it. But so we've got the index RSS. I mean, I guess now last week when we looked at this, you ran Dropcaster and updated index RSS, didn't you?
Right. Yeah, and then I pushed that up, and then really we were gonna do some manual, like adding the image.
Well, separately from the images, I think what we need to know, the critical thing that we need to assert is, do we still have that block where the summary things in here have that little character that prevent it working or what have you? So
we were going to test that out by sort of deploying it, basically.
Right, and so now I've got it like by pushing to master. I don't think we've automatically deployed. It has to go to the GH pages before we do that.
Right.
But before we do that, what was that? What is this? Have we got this? Yeah, okay. Here we go. So
Right. Yeah.
this is, I've got it set up here. It's got the episode 5. I mean, so this was the thing that where we previously identified that it was failing, right? Is this like pod station thing? Like we've got the feed in there. So presumably, if I now deploy it, and so I mean, by that, if I do git push gh, oh gosh, no, to be origin. How? I'm not going to like my mechanism for. I guess I just have to do git check out gh pages, and then git pull origin gh pages. Is that right? And can I then? Do I just rebase to master? And that's failed. Oh gosh. It makes me, I'm still confused about what's my mechanism. Publishing to GH pages. Because I do this with the middleman site all the time, but it has a special rake task to do it. I guess I would be tempted just to merge it. I guess I can always roll it back. But so if we do here, if we do git merge master, and I still have that there. So what oh gosh. So I'm kind of, what's the official? I mean, I did this in the past. Is it supposed to automatically pick it up? Get up pages. Oh gosh. Well, I think maybe sensibly you will leave this with me. How do we send updates to GitHub pages? Because oh gosh, I'm just sort of blanking on. I mean, I guess I could kind of, if we go, what's this? If I do subble here, we've got some kind of, I guess what it might be is that there's that, oh, well, it's telling me here, auto merging, so merge conflict in index RSS, but I'm not seeing any, it looks fine, doesn't it?
You're looking at it on Sublime. It's not telling you the.
I'm not seeing any. You know, like you normally get the head and the sort of the chevrons going across, telling you where there's been a merge conflict, but I'm not seeing any merge conflict.
And is that the new update?
Oh, look at this.
What?
Well, that summary there, it's got the.
I'm sorry, could you highlight it?
Well, there's like a sort of a special triple dot character there.
Oh, yeah, I see that.
But so here, I mean, is this what you get locally on your index.rss? Like if you view index.rss on your local machine,
yeah.
Like at the moment here, I'm seeing like a full summary for the episode 5 summary, but at the moment, all of the episode 4, episode 3, episode 2, none of them have the full summary.
So I'm trying to recall here. Let me share my screen.
Yeah.
What was the point of? I already forgot. What was the point of? What did we do last week? I forgot what we did.
Well, I thought what we did last week was that you got all of the MP3 files with the fully updated data in it, right? And then you ran the Dropcaster on your local machine,
right?
And in order to make sure that the things were all populated correctly.
Okay, I just recalled we got them from SoundCloud. Is what we did.
Right, we downloaded them from SoundCloud, hoping that SoundCloud was having the full. Yeah, so you've got there. Like episode 4. Oh, look, there's a null character there. Look. Can you see the null character? Line 28, just after influence.
Oh, yeah, interesting.
But the funny thing is, I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna have to. This merging setup. I guess it's like maybe one of the things has overwritten one of the other ones. I'm gonna go back out to the master. Okay, check out master and look at this. Yeah, so in master there, yeah, I've got the I've got the full summaries, and I've got also the null character.
Which I think, that's weird. I don't even know what that means. That's from SoundCloud, right? Yeah. That might cause that problem where
I would be extremely think that was extremely likely. So what I'm going to do here on master is I'm just going to delete those nulls. Yeah. Oh, the interesting thing for here on master, I don't even have the episode 5. Do you have any unsaved changes on your?
No, I haven't touched it since I pushed it up last week.
But so does your index.rss have episode 5 in it?
Yeah. For
some reason, mine are they in a different order? 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, 5 is just at the bottom. All right, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna. Hold on here. I thought I just deleted all the nulls and. Oh gosh. Yeah, I guess this is. Oh, let's save it again. Here we go. So remove null chars. Push origin master. I guess arguably for the amount of work that we're doing on this, it's already worth the $15 a month for SoundCloud. But so there now, if I do git checkouts gh pages, what I kind of want to do is I just want to force whatever the master is. So if I do merge, the thing is, if I now do the merge of the master here, I then come back to here and I still don't see any chevrons. This time around, though, I have got all of the, no, again, like the GH pages is kind of its version. That's very strange. Oh gosh.
It's sort of the dominant version.
I don't know what they're, they're check out -b. Now I'm going to just force up. I mean, and that might break the whole thing. I mean, I don't know. I think I've yeah. So I think we will just now, that's an attempted thing. Like it then, just that this works here, doesn't tell us too much. I guess apart from the fact that does it have all of the, episode 5 doesn't seem to have like 1, 2 of those. It will now take time for the GH pages to actually deploy. If we go to, gosh, what is it now? Have I got it? Is it Agile Ventures dot github.io? Here we go. That index RSS. We can see there. Yeah, so that still seems to have this, like, presumably at some point, once the you know, it cycles round in the back, this will update and it will have the right stuff for the GH pages. But okay.
So I think last week or whatever, 4 weeks ago, whenever that was, I think iTunes was the fastest to show that.
Yeah, well, I would say that there's a, like at the moment I can see it's going to be like at the moment, this one that's being delivered by GitHub pages has not changed. So like I've pushed to the GH pages branch here, but there will be a time before like something has to roll on GitHub side to make the changes to this branch actually be visible on this endpoint. And then and only then will any changes be able to show up in PodStation or iTunes or anywhere.
So are you sure it hasn't already happened? Because it did update already.
Well, it looks like, yeah, no, it looks like now, yeah. So I can see here on the GitHub IO that yes, it's got, yeah, all the metadata is there now. So conceivably,
no, yeah.
Is there a refresh option on here? Failed to update Agile Book Club. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I need to break now. So I guess we will have to come back and see. On iTunes, does it look correct?
No, it's all wrong.
Oh, is it?
What, like this? That title is not right, and here there's no description.
Mm-hmm.
The order is wrong. I guess, yeah. I mean, I guess it does reflect what we had.
Yeah, I mean, there's no summary for the number 1. So
episode 5 is at the very bottom.
Yeah, so I mean that I think we can edit that. But anyway, at least we were able to get out the things and remove the different nulls. Okay. Anyway, I've really got to go.
So that did work. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thanks for looking at that with me. Yeah. Okay. And I was sharing the wrong screen, but anyway. All right. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.
All right, Sam. Bye.